It encourages to think, to speak, and to write clearly and critically. Science can answer every question, especially metaphysical and value problems. So here is the task of the philosophy. The philosophy cannot satisfy in answering the question, the problem. At least philosophy provides the answer. So it's something like it can satisfy ourselves after getting the answer provided by philosophy. There are problems that try to be solved by philosophy. For example, is there a God? What is truth? What can we know? What is beauty? What's human being? What is knowledge? How do you know that we are now knowing something? So that is a question proposed by philosophy. So studying philosophy develops one's ability, develops our ability to communicate effectively, to form original creative solutions to problems, to appreciate views different from one's own, to analyze complex material, and to investigate difficult questions in a systematic fashion. Those approaches have been introduced by dialectical or by dialectical method as proposed by Plato and Aristotle, after that Muslim philosophers and the rest of the philosophers. Okay, I like to bring forward what Professor Harun Nasution said during his suggestion, one of his suggestions, when the UIN Hayatullah Jakarta have proposed to establish a postgraduate study there. He stated that Prof. Harun Nasution, also known as a neo-Mu'tazilite, what he said, he did say like this: Indonesia has not yet achieved an outstanding social organization to give birth to future Islamic leaders. The leadership must be rational, understanding Islam comprehensively, not about the science of religion, and master the philosophy. That a big task for the Muslim thinker, according to our distinguished Professor Dr. Harun Nasution. Muslim, general Muslim or Muslim in Indonesia should master the philosophy, okay, general philosophy, and Muslim philosophy particularly. Philosophy is very important to know the understanding of science in general. This must be born with in the graduate faculty. This statement is very crucial on that time, but still crucial this time. Why? Because it is very important to know the understanding of science in general. In general, we have to master philosophy. This is suggested by Professor Harun Nasution. Okay. There are few problems in the Muslim countries nowadays, especially in Malaysia, but I think also in Indonesia nowadays, where the problem is the Department of Philosophy is closed. Okay. In Malaysia, few departments of philosophy were closed, I will present a few reasons of that after this. But what I like to present this morning is most of the top universities in the world still teach subject of philosophy. Okay, they are proud because they have a department of philosophy or faculty of philosophy. For example, Harvard University, there is a department of philosophy. It's still there nowadays. And then the department's graduate programs from first degree to the PhD program. They have a department of philosophy. They have some of the renowned philosophers who teach philosophy. Okay, that one is a Harvard University, the most top university in the world. Second, in Oxford, one of the world's great center for philosophy in the world. And nowadays, there are about 50 full-time permanent members or professors or lecturers in philosophy at the Faculty of Philosophy. Okay, so they teach vast range of subjects within philosophy. And many of international leaders in their fields where the Faculty of Philosophy is one of the largest department of philosophy in the world. This is Oxford University. Okay, meaning that they still teach philosophy in the University of Oxford and also University of Cambridge. But in our country, they close the department or the Faculty of Philosophy. So here, there is a contradictory between the developed country and developing country. In developed country, they still open the philosophy department, the philosophy faculty, but in developing country like Malaysia or maybe in Indonesia, they close the faculty or the department of philosophy. So in Malaysia, I like to share some points or history of philosophy in Malaysia. Philosophy has been introduced in Malaysia Institute of Higher Learning by the lecturers who graduated from Al-Azhar University, also from United Kingdom and United States of America, and some of them from Australia and I think from some European countries. So the philosophy subjects in Malaysia are in the form of those countries, meaning from the United Kingdom, United States, and blend with the Islamic philosophy from the Al-Azhar University. In 90s and early 80s, some universities established the faculty of or department of philosophy. There are Science University of Malaysia. However, the department of this philosophy at Science University of Malaysia was closed due to the lack of the students. I think in early 90s, this department was closed. But the second one is National University of Malaysia. There is Department of Theology and Philosophy, which has celebrated its 50 years anniversary this year. This is our faculty. This is our department, Department of Theology and Philosophy. We still remain here with a lot of challenges, but we still remain here. We just changed the name from department to the center, to the research center of theology and philosophy. So it's something like more bigger and play a bigger role in theology and philosophy in Malaysia. This right now, I think is one and only Department of Theology and Philosophy in Malaysia. So we pray to Allah that we hope that this department will celebrate another 50 year of anniversary. Okay, we hope so. Okay, a good news is beginning the year 2020, the Education Ministry has introduced into all Malaysian university a new compulsory subjects, namely philosophy and current issues. It's compulsory for every student, especially for the first year student, to sit or to study this subject, philosophy and current issues. Okay. The government decision comes at a time when philosophy is unpopular among higher education subjects, where philosophy is considered irrelevant due to its impractical and theoretical nature. However, with this move, nevertheless, with this move, philosophy and current issue come, let's say, breath. Okay. Decision to introduce the subject is aligned with the national education system direction, which emphasize good values. Okay. In Malaysia, we have Malaysia or National Education Philosophy. It's an effort to further developing the potential individuals in holistic and integrated manner, so as to produce individuals who are intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically balanced and harmonious. So I take this opportunity to introduce the Center for Theology and Philosophy in University Kebangsaan Malaysia, National University of Malaysia. One and only Center for Theology and Philosophy in Malaysia right now. Okay, this department or the Center for the Research Center for Theology and Philosophy, established in 1970 as the pioneer and one of the earliest department in UKM. It has a high reputation in teaching philosophy generally and Muslim philosophy particularly by using Malay language. I think on those days, nobody think that how can Muslim philosophy or philosophy generally can be taught using Malay language. However, we prove that philosophy can be taught in Malay. Currently, there are 20 lecturers and 5 experts in philosophy. There are few flagship programs organized by this department. Firstly, International Seminar on Islamic Thought, this annual international seminar. And then the Seminar on Religion, Culture and Development, joint seminar with multi-Indonesian Islamic universities. Okay, we have organized, I think, around 15 seminars, a joint seminar with Indonesian Islamic University. And also we have International Islamic Issues Discourse. Okay, this is very, I think this is a regular seminar. We also publish International Journal, International Journal of Islamic Thought. This journal is indexed by Scopus, by ERA, and by WAST. And there are few programs, collaboration program with various international universities in the Middle East, China, and South Asian continental universities. And then this must program, where every year we celebrate World Philosophy Day on the 3rd Wednesday in November. So for the students in Indonesia, welcome to our university for further the study here. to pursue your study here. Study philosophy at the Research Center for Theology and Philosophy, National University of Malaysia. I just like to share a few information. For the master program, for the coursework, 12 units or 4 subjects, where each subject 3 units. And then you have to write dissertation, 50,000 words. And there is a compulsory for the student, for the master student, to publish one Scopus journal. Okay. Or you can have another choice that you can write the full thesis. But you have to write around 60,000 words of full thesis with an article published in Scopus journal. Okay. But for those already got a master, or you are going to finish your master very soon, I would like to invite you to do PhD here in our university. At least you have a master degree in Islamic studies, and you should present a proposal, whether in first or second semester. Then you have to write a thesis, 100,000 words. With as this thesis will be assessed in the internal and external examiner, and with a condition publishing 2 articles in Scopus journal, so you can graduate with bright colors here in Malaysia. So about the fees, I don't like to discuss here, because I think just to share how the fees here. Okay, just around maybe 10,000 ringgit or maybe less than that. Okay, so this is generally what's happened development of philosophy in Malaysia. I think the peak time of philosophy in Malaysia is 1980s, but it's going down in 90s, and after that 2000 is going up again after the introduction of compulsory subjects in all of the universities in Malaysia. So this peak time for the philosophy, maybe it's a resurgence time or re-emerge of philosophy in Malaysia. I think year 2000 we can see that most of the students will know what is philosophy about. In USA, so this just I want to share with you what's happened philosophy in USA. So there's a decline in 2013 and 2015. So the peak time, the peak period of philosophy is in 2005 to 2010. Okay, so I like to share why there are some factors of decline in philosophy in Malaysia. There are 4. For example, condemnation for Puritan Muslim. Their philosophy is an Islamic subject. Okay, as I proposed, as I said before. The second one is high interest in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or other professional subjects, especially Sharia subjects. So in our faculty of Islamic Studies, a threat is faculty of Sharia, because most of the students like to study Sharia, not the other subjects, especially philosophy. And the second one is irrelevance of philosophy in career path. And the third one is problem of philosophers themselves. I think the blame should be put on the philosophers themselves, because they fail to convince anyone that philosophy is worth to study. Okay, so our challenges. There are 4 challenges faced by the philosophers. First one, Why study philosophy? A popular question raised by the students. Why study philosophy? How to convince anyone that philosophy is worth studying? Second one, why that philosophy is boring? So we have to face the challenge, how to be more creative in philosophy teaching. The third one, why philosophy is hard to understand? I think the problem is the philosophers themselves, because the lack of trained and skilled philosopher or instructors or teachers to teach philosophy. Okay, this is from experience. And the last one, what I can do with philosophy degree. So this is the challenge of philosophy as a discipline. Okay, so if we see this these problems here, the challenge here, I think it's not easy to solve. Okay, however, I try to find out some of solutions. Okay, for example, we should be creative, should have a creative idea to promote philosophy to the students. For example, there should be some discussion of philosophy in newspapers, social media, or intellectual discourse, just like this. In the university, creative ideas how to make philosophy as a core or compulsory subjects to any degree. Okay, so philosopher or the teacher of philosophy, lecturers in philosophy, should have a creative idea how to make this subject a core subject or compulsory to other faculty. Okay, while I was in the university in the UK, I found that medicine students, business students, they study philosophy because it is a compulsory subject. They have to take 1 or 2 subjects in philosophy in order to pass the degree. Okay. Second, efforts to integrate philosophy to multi or cross-discipline subjects in the university. Offering courses in the mode of major or minor in philosophy, and a creative way of teaching philosophy. The second point here is very important, especially in the university. The third one, convincing ideas that philosophy could contribute to career path of the students. It's not easy job actually. Okay. The fourth one is philosophy should be more inclusive. Should be more inclusive, meaning that we should not obey 100% what Plato said, that philosophy is inclusive to the philosopher kings. Nowadays, I think we should be more inclusive, not exclusive for the philosopher kings, as suggested by Plato. Okay, should be more inclusive. The fifth one, last but not least, establishing the society for philosophers. For example, in America, there is APA, American Philosophy Association. Okay, in America, there is American Philosophy Association. It's open to everyone in this world. Okay. One interesting point I like to share this morning is a philosophy cafe. Okay, philosophy cafe. What is philosophy cafe? Philosophy cafe has been around, though the idea originated in France. They offer convivial spaces for philosophical discussion, accessible to everyone, engaging them in intelligent conversation about the big question. So it's scattered in France. There are few philosophy cafes in the UK and also in the US, and then few in Japan. Okay, in Japan. So philosophy cafe is open to the public. They can discuss any issues from the Santa Claus to the serious problems in the philosophy cafes. So you can search in the Google what is philosophy cafes. It's very interesting. Okay, so maybe there is a philosophy cafes in Jogja next time. Okay, in Jogja, somewhere in Jogja, there is philosophy cafe. While drink Luwak Cafe, we discuss few issues in Jogja. Okay, maybe somewhere in Marlborough Street. Okay, in Marlborough Street, there is philosophy cafe organized by students or philosophers in Jogja. Okay, so here's what philosophy graduates who finished their degrees in 2017. Okay, 6 months after graduating. So it shows that according to what graduates do, these findings, 40% of them got the job. Okay, 10% part-time. Okay, 24% further the study. Just 8.1% unemployed. Meaning that philosophy contribute to the career path for the students. Okay, last but not least, I think I should stop here. The last word from Socrates. I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. This by Socrates. So this is our job as a philosophers nowadays. Okay, I cannot teach anybody to anything. I can only make them think. So I cannot teach anybody to find a job. I can only make them think to find a job. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Sunawari, for sharing valuable knowledge with us. And now we go to the second speaker, Professor Dr. Yusudani. My dear fellow participants and listeners, Professor Dr. Yusudani currently is head of doctoral program of Islamic Law, Faculty of Islamic Studies, Universitas Islam Indonesia. He obtained his first degree, S1, from IAIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta, in 1989, majoring in Sharia. Then he pursued his study S2 in the IAIN Sharif Hidayatullah in 1998, specialized in study Islam. In 2016, he completed his PhD or S3 in the IAIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta. As an academician, Professor Dr. Yusudani not only published academic books, but he also published journal articles and proceedings. Some of his publications, if I could state in here, such as Fiqh Politik Muslim Progressive, Pemikiran and Peradaban Islam, konfigurasi pemikiran politik Islam antara tradisi dan liberalisasi, the life of Javanese Muslims in Satun, Bangkok, Thailand, and Indonesia, Islam and multicultural citizenship. Professor Dr. Yusudani will talk about the prospects and challenges of teaching the philosophy of Islamic studies. Therefore, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Yusudani to start his presentation. فليتفضل مأجورا.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmad Yunus Muhammad Nur. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. The first of all, I would like to thank to Professor Japri Awang as the Director Center, Research Center for Theology and Philosophy, the Faculty of Islamic Studies, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. And second, thank you so much to Professor Ahmad Sunari Long, has presented several issues, several topics on the philosophy and the problem and the solution. And Dr. Junara as the head of the Magister of Islamic Studies, Islamic University of Indonesia, and all staff and all teachers, lecturers, and participant students who joined this seminar. I want to appreciate that this seminar is very interesting because I think we are going to talk about the philosophy as stated by Professor Ahmad Sunari Long. Yeah, I think if we talk about the term philosophy, for example, in Islamic higher education in Indonesia, yeah, for example, in University State University Islamic University Sunan Kalijaga. Yeah, I think it is a very little student who want to take the philosophy as a subject because philosophy sometimes we can say it is abdolal. Yeah, abdolal. Philosophy is abdolal. Yeah, abdolal. Who who study philosophy can be regarded as go to hell. I think it is jokes who want to study about the philosophy. Yeah, but I think current issues, we cannot solve only one discipline. Based on this, we need the philosophy, especially the philosophy. The title of our seminar, it is the prospect and the challenge of teaching philosophy of Islamic studies. Maybe I want to share my slide. Okay. Huh? Yeah, sure. Okay. So, okay. Okay. I think it is a brief description about the scientific paradigm of some is Indonesian Islamic higher education in Indonesia. Yeah, I think there is some observation. Yeah, because for example, IAIN Surakarta, I think they change. It is the power of knowledge. It is his division of IAIN Surakarta. Second is with Alauddin Makassar, scientific inner capacity. Yeah, sometimes we can. It is Syajaratul Ilm. It's Syajaratul Ilm. With Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, it is scientific also. Syajaratul Ilm, integrated approach. Yeah, integrated approach. And when Wali Songo Semarang, for example, sacralization of secular science and humanization of Islamic science. And when Bandung, revelation guide science. When Sharif Hidayatullah, scientific integration, integrated approach. And when Sunan Kalijaga, I think integrated and interconnected approach. And based on this position, we can say that Islamic University of Indonesia, yeah, it is only based on my assumption, integrated approach, yeah, integrated approach. But I think still ongoing process to be formulated the integrated approach. Yeah. And I think I want to show that the development in Islamic studies in higher education in Indonesia. The first, I think it is the period from before 1950. I think it is dominant in Islamic higher education on the ulumuddin, al-fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, theology, tafsir, hadith, and history, and also about Islamic aqidah. But in period 1951 to 1975, the Islamic studies in Islamic higher education in Indonesia developed. Islamic study is a core, but differ from humanities, social science, and natural sciences. And the third period is from 1976 to 1995. It is a core science of Islamic studies of act, field, and auxiliary science. And now from 1996 until now, core science of Islamic studies is humanities, social, and exact science. Yeah. Based on this, we can say that Islamic studies in Indonesia until now, I think at least the stage of Islamic studies based on the philosophy of science, the philosophy studies, we can divide, we can classify it into a four stage. The first is monodiscipline. Second is multidisciplinary. And third is interdisciplinary. And the fourth is transdisciplinary. And today, I think it is a new trend for Islamic studies as the teaching of the philosophy of Islamic studies. I think there's a popular one. We can say that it is al-maqasid. Al-maqasid. For example, I think there are the Faculty of Islamic Studies is Islamic higher education in Indonesia. Pay attention to elaborate to become maqasid. But I think the challenge because maqasid in many period before, maqasid is a part of it of usul fiqh or yeah, the legal system, or we can say that the Islamic legal thought. But today, uh, some of Islamic higher education in Indonesia pay attention to develop maqasid Sharia is independent science of Islamic studies. Because of this, I think it is, we can say that it is a kind of development of Islamic studies of Indonesia based on the philosophy of maqasid Sharia. Yeah, I think there are several there are several students. If we talk about Islamic studies based on the maqasid Sharia, I think it is very interesting in Indonesia. In term, for example, Islamic Education Department, Islamic Political Department, and also the Department of Islamic Law. I think they pay attention to Islamic studies based on maqasid Sharia. So I think it is the new trend of Islamic studies of Indonesia is pay attention to maqasid Sharia as the basis of teaching of Islamic studies in every field. Based, for example, in fiqh or Islamic jurisprudence, in Islamic philosophy, in Islamic theology, and in Islamic education, and Islamic jurisprudence. And then I think it is unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately, in our Islamic University of Indonesia, UII, there is no the faculty of philosophy until today. I think it is the big challenge for us how to open this subject because I think yeah, because maybe it is my assumption that we are Muslim Indonesia influenced by Ghazalian. We can say Ghazalian because Ghazalian tahapatul falasifa. Because of this, I think until today we still say that we agree with statement of Al Ghazali. I think it is the short presentation, but I think we try to deliver that it is the challenge of Islamic studies in Indonesia, because we try criticize the weaknesses of the monodiscipline, because monodiscipline it is dominated by approach, we can say the normative approach, normative approach only. But we try to develop a multidisciplinary. It is we try to use separate approach of the social science or humanity science, or in some case maybe we use exact science. And the next interdisciplinary, I think today it is also the challenge of Islamic studies in Indonesia. Why Islamic studies must be developed based on interdisciplinary? Because interdisciplinary, we can say that only it is also our need today to develop Islamic studies can solve and can solve several problems in nowadays. For example, we can say the gender problem, humanities problem, or also the human right problem, because we can accommodate human right, we can accommodate about the gender ideas if we only use monodiscipline. But we can use this, we can accommodate and we can solve the problem based on interdisciplinary approach. And one of the, of course, we need philosophy as the approach. Yeah. And today and nowadays, I think new trend to develop Islamic studies in Indonesia is transdisciplinary. I think it is a new trend, especially to respond to COVID-19. I think, for example, Professor Amin Abdullah said that we need today transdisciplinary of Islamic studies. Not enough if we solve the problem based on monodiscipline only and multidiscipline only, interdisciplinary. But we need ideally to implement transdisciplinary as approach to Islamic studies and can solve the problem. So I think it is a new trend for Islamic studies in Islamic higher education in Indonesia. So transdisciplinary, a core of transdisciplinary is based on, we can say that before it is the Maqasid Sharia. Yeah, I think it is still debatable about the position of transdisciplinary of Islamic studies and the humanity problem. For example, I think about the humanities problem, for example, we can see the climate change, the environment problem, and also about the political problem, and also about the human right problem, and etc. I think it is still debatable, but we have optimistic vision that maybe it is the one way out of how to solve the problem in humanities today based on transdisciplinary. We can say that one of them is philosophy as the approach of transdisciplinary Islamic studies. And also, I think also I can inform that interdisciplinary study in Islamic studies, we can say that Islamic studies has become, we can cultural studies. Yeah, cultural studies. I think the prospect of transdisciplinary study in Islamic studies, we can go to develop about the cultural studies. Well, we can say that it is Islamic studies a kind of a cultural studies. Based on this, I think it is the description, short description about Islamic studies in Indonesia. But among Muslim scholars in Indonesia, they respond to this idea, this vision. I think, yeah, still debatable. But yeah, I think we do hope that it's our optimistic that transdisciplinary we can do it, we can develop, we can implement to solve the problem. Until today, I think it is a new new idea or a new trend of Islamic studies of Indonesia, because the assumption based on transdisciplinary of Islamic studies, I think Muslim today face separate problem. We can say that the separate problem we can classify it into three levels problem. The first is local problem. I think until today we still debate about the position of the local tradition, or sometime in Indonesia we can say the local wisdom. How can Islam accommodate local wisdom or local culture? Because if we trace, we say that based on Islamic jurisprudence, I think there are several legal maxims that align that the muhakama, as-sabitu bil-urfi, as-sabitu bin-nassi. But until today, I think there are new perspective on Islam and local wisdom, because some of Muslim today, sometimes local wisdom is a bid'ah or heresy. I think it is the problem. But in same time, we need local tradition or local problem. It is one of the local value. We can say that it is local value. And second level is the problem of national level. Yeah, national level. I think there are several problems in Indonesia in terms of Islamic studies perspective. One, I think how Islam can solve the problem of the Islamic politics. For example, the relation between religion and state. And second, about the position of the minority citizen in Indonesia. Or sometimes we can say the pikul akaliyat, the two pikul aksariyat. I think it is also the problem. And also how to accommodate, how to contribute about how to develop a nation state of Indonesia, because Indonesia is a multicultural society, multicultural religion, and etc. And also there are several problems arise, I think, in nowadays. So based on this, I think it is one solution based on the philosophy of Islamic studies in Indonesia is transdisciplinary. But yeah, at least I think we go to the third level, this interdisciplinary of Islamic studies. Yeah. I think it is the problem, challenge, and also it is the opportunity for Islamic studies in Indonesia. I think we need the philosophy is approach and critical thinking how to develop Islamic studies, and we do hope that Islamic studies can answer the challenging of human life today in terms of social life, in terms of economic life, in terms of political life, and also in terms on all the problem of human life. We say that based on Islamic studies, the approach of Islamic studies based on the philosophy. One of them, I think, is important approach by using Islamic studies based on the philosophy. So I think it is, I think, a short presentation for me, but I think we appreciate that the presentation from Professor Sunari Long. It is a good presentation, and I think, when I was a student of Harun Nasution, Harun Nasution criticized that I think Indonesian Islamic studies, it is very, very normative. So he promoted that how to develop Islamic study based on the philosophy, at least based on philosophy of science, And I inform you all that the concept of normative usul fiqh that I understood before, Mr. Harun Nasution break my concept of usul fiqh until today. I think it is the problem for me. Okay, I think it is only short description, short presentation, and I want to listen from response from other to discuss about the challenge and prospect of teaching philosophy of Islamic studies in Indonesia. I think shukran. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Many thanks, Prof. Dr. Yusudani, for superb presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, now we open for a Q&A session. If you have any questions, please turn on your mic and tell your name and institution. Yes, please. We are welcome any question which are related to our topics today. Okay, may I start first? Prof. Dr. Yusdani, some people say
Okay.
Study of philosophy is no future. So how to counter back this kind of statement? Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. The question from Dr. Ahmad Yunus Muhammad Nur. Yeah, I think it is the perspective of pessimistic perspective. I think maybe the challenge how to teach or how to study philosophy. I think today maybe the philosophy subject we can diversify into, for example, that the example from Professor Ahmad Sunari along. For example, I think it is how to socialize, yeah, how to socialize for student, for new student in level of degree, for example, bachelor degree, and also about magister degree and the philosophy degree. I think we need diversify the subject of philosophy. For example, I think today, if we study politics, for example, we need to study about the philosophy of the politics. I think it is. It is, and also if we study about the culture, we need to study also about the philosophy of the culture, and also about the Islamic education, for instance. We need the philosophy of Islamic education. I think it is the change. It is the challenge, but it is all opportunity to us to develop a subject, the philosophy of the subject in Islamic studies. But I think maybe also that the maybe we need or we need a new curriculum of philosophy as a subject to develop in terms of the Islamic studies. And also, I think, yeah, today we can say that philosophy is an umbrella of all of science in Islam. We need it. We return to back. We return we back to basic. I think it is. But I think also, I think it is my idea that the philosophy we can use based on several science into the contemporary. So I think based on this also. Sometime I think as stated by Professor Ahmad Sunari Long, that teaching philosophy, how make teaching philosophy very interesting, not boring. Yeah, sometime I think this is the challenge. Sometimes we say that philosophy it is a very controversial about the term philosophy. As I have stated before, philosophy ad-dolal, philosophy al-bid'ah. Sometimes there are several terms on this, but I think for the future we need the young philosophers, yeah, young philosopher to understand everything, every problem comprehensively, and also how to solve the problem comprehensively. So based on my perspective that the philosophy is the subject, it is very uh, prospect for the future. Yeah, for the future. I do hope for this. I think it is. Thank you to Dr. Ahmad Yunus Muhammad Nur. Maybe I can answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof, for your answers. Yes, we still open for a Q&A if our fellow listeners, our fellow participants, if you have any questions related to our topic, we are welcome to all of you to ask our speakers in here. Because we have two speakers, we have Professor Dr. Ahmad Sunawari Long, and we have Professor Dr. Yusudani in the line. So please ask if you have any question. Yes, please. Any question? We have academician in this webinar series, and we have students as well. So we combine staffs and students so that we can gain more knowledge. This is the aim of this kind of program. We would like to strengthen between two institutions, UKM and Universitas of Indonesia. And this kind of program is very, very interesting and very, very good. So please, my fellow listeners and participants, please ask if you have any question. Thank you. If I could ask Prof. Sunawari, in the department, or we can say the research center for theology and philosophy, we have a combination of knowledge. We have integration of two branches of knowledge. We have theology and we have philosophy. So what the uniqueness of the combination and integration between two branches of knowledge, theology and philosophy? So please, Prof. Sunawari, this is, we have question from our participant. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Yunus. I would like to welcome our fellow friend from University UMY, Dr. Hassan. Yeah. Yeah, that is regarding to the uniqueness of this department. It's a combination between the philosophy and theology. Al-falsifah wal usuluddin wal falsifah. This what we call cross discipline between theology and philosophy. Theology, in this department, there are a few subjects, I think, under theology. For example, religious study and tafsir, hadith, ilmu kalam, and comparative study. So those subjects categorized under theology. And under philosophy, so a lot of subjects under philosophy, from the introduction of philosophy to the contemporary philosophy. So the uniqueness, if you're asking me about uniqueness, I don't know what's the uniqueness actually. The uniqueness here is a combination, okay? A combination between theology and philosophy. This is what we call the theory of double truth or two-truth theory. Okay, there is no contradictories between religion and philosophy, between revelation and reasoning. So maybe our predecessors, those professors, think that we have to combine between theology and philosophy, because this theology and philosophy is something like problems of is there any contradictory between religion and philosophy, between the revelation and reasoning. So I think those predecessors, the pioneers of this department, have a thought that we should combine between theology and philosophy. So nowadays, under philosophy, so those subjects, all of them are philosophy. But under theology, as I mentioned earlier, comparative religion, study of religion, tafsir, hadith, and I think about 15 subjects under theology. But every student have to merge between those subjects together. So something like that. But the challenge, as I said earlier, is not easy to tackle. Okay? Every year we have a problem in getting a new student, especially for the postgraduate students, okay, for studying philosophy and theology. So I think I answered the question, but everything for other question, maybe from Dr. Supriyanto. How are you, Dr. Supriyanto? Just no voice, no any good news from the Jogja considering philosophy. I think you can share. I think Dr. Supriyanto can share his your experience about philosophy in Australia. I think you better share your experience there.
Mohon, I think you cannot close with Prof. Dr. Yusudani. If you close, so yeah, please,
Yusdani should close it. So mute.
just a little bit far away from Prof. Dr. Yusudani. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, Dr. Supriyanto. Dr. Yunus, Dr. Yunus, Dr. Ahmad Yunus. Who should answer first? Prof. Yusdani first.
Okay, thank you for Mas Abdi Supriyanto Abdi question. I think two questions need strong academic answer because if we try to understand why the lack of interest to study uh, philosophy in our society or in our university. Yeah, I think we trying to understand the problem of the philosophical base of Islamic studies, especially the philosophical base of fiqh or Islamic jurisprudence. We can change, I think, today, as I have stated before in my short presentation, that we try to integrate three philosophical bases of Islamic studies, especially in Islamic faith or Islamic legal theory. The first, we can say that if we try to understand this according to Muhammad Abid Al-Jabiri, for example, he classified the model of study fiqh. The first is Bayani and Burhani and Irfani. I think if we can develop three legal, three philosophical base in terms of this study, I think we integrate and interconnect between uh, we can say Bayani, Burhani, and Irfani. Yeah, I think we need it. Based on this, we can say that uh, the model of Islamic fiqh or the fiqh of Islamic law, law we use three simultaneous philosophical bases. We integrate Bayani, Burhani, and Irfani. Besides this, we can also think to develop Islamic law studies. Yeah, Islamic law studies. We can say by using the approach of humanity science and also social science. Not only normative only, not normative only, because normative only cannot answer the challenge of humanity problem today. Yeah. And second problem, I think, yeah, I think I have dream in Islamic University. I think in uh, campus of Demangan, yeah, in campus Demangan. Maybe next time we want to have a program ngopi bareng at Demangan. Yeah, drink coffee together in Demangan, but we try to discuss about the philosophy. For example, it is there for the next time. We want to have the program but coffee bareng at Demangan. Drink coffee together in Demangan. We try to discuss about the issue of philosophy, the issue of Islamic studies, the issue of the contemporary in Islamic studies. I think it is my short answer to uh, Supriyanto Abadi question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Dr. Yusudani. So, if Prof. Dr. Ahmad Sunawari would like to add a little bit, or you would like to share anything, yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Few things what we have done here. I think the most important thing is the top-down program from the government. Okay, that one is the, I think, a necessary thing to do. There is a top-down program from the government. If there is no cooperation or support from the government, I think the future of philosophy is, we don't know the future of our philosophy or the subject of philosophy in the local university, especially in Malaysia. What has been suggested by the Prof Harun Nasution, okay, should be considered as necessary for the Muslim world, especially in this region, in the Southeast Asian Southeast Asian regions. Second thing, I think, as a lecturer of the subject, philosophy subject, as I said earlier, we should blame ourselves, because we ourselves are not creative. We ourselves are not competent enough in teaching philosophy. So this is something like self-judgment for ourselves. Why this happened? Why our students are not interested to study philosophy? However, what we have done here, instead of that, we have done something here. For example, we have established the Club Usuluddin dan Falsafah, okay, Club of Theology and Philosophy for the student. This KUFA, short form of Club Usuluddin Falsafah, KUFA. So the student, they organize the programs related to philosophy and theology. Some sort of like seminar, writing papers, and the discussion of formal and informal discussion of philosophy. But so far there is no such as philosophy cafe, as I suggested before. What I'm dreaming of, there is a philosophy cafe in Georgia one day, while sipping or drinking luwak cafe, luwak coffee with the docents there. We will discuss philosophy maybe one day near the Malioboro Road. Okay. Second is what we have done here is a compulsory activity, something like that. They're celebrating Philosophy Day, annual celebrating, as suggested by UNICEF, United Nations for Children and Education, right? UNICEF. So every year we celebrate Philosophy Day, and there are a few programs in the Philosophy Day. Normally we celebrate here about 1 week. Student will have a debate, discussion, theater, and then also competition, writing, article competition, and so on and so forth. This is very interesting for the student. They organize themselves. Okay, they organize themselves, then they participate. Okay, so with the good cooperation from the lecturer. So Philosophy Day every year in November. I think third week of November on Thursday, I think, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so those informal programs that we have organized so far. Okay, thank you.
Right. A billion thanks to Prof. Dr. Ahmad Sunawari for sharing your point of views in regards with the topic. Again, thank you very much to both prominent speakers, Associate Professor Dr. Ahmad Sunawari Long and Professor Dr. Yusudani, for being presenters and invited speakers in this International Islamic webinar series. I would like to express our gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty God, for giving us chances and opportunities to organize this kind of program. I hope all of you enjoy the International Islamic webinar series between two countries, Malaysia and Indonesia. If you have any question, yes, I heard someone would like to ask. Yes, please, if you still have any question, you may ask to our prominent speakers. Yes, I heard someone would like to ask.
Me. I want to ask Mr. Yunus.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Please turn on your mic and please tell us your name and your institution.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yunus. I'm Januariat Faizar from Indonesia, Islamic University of Indonesia. I want to ask the Prof Yusdani and Prof Ahmad Sunawari. The emergence of philosophy in the Islamic world can be seen from several factors. In fact, the term philosophy of religion is not commonly used. What is commonly used is philosophy of religion, not philosophy of religious sin or philosophy of religious studies. The problem is all religions have their scientific buildings. Is religion science? In the context of Islam, furthermore, regarding the development of Islamic studies, what strategies are more effective in providing a spiritual understanding of Islam for all Muslim in Indonesia and Malaysia? Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yes, please. I'm not pretty sure the type of question just now from our participants. I think both speakers, if you have chances to reply the question or to answer to the question, yes, you are most welcome. Please. Yes. Prof. Ahmad Sunawari, if you have any response to the question, yes, please. Or the Prof. Dr. Yusudani.
Yes.
Can Mr. Chairman rephrase the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry because I just left the session because I got the ring from someone. We would like to invite again the question from the participant. If you could ask again to the speakers. Yes, please. Because I just left the session just now because of the something I got ring from outside.
I would suggest the participant, fellow participant, to rephrase the question because I'm not clear the question side.
Okay, I think I can answer a little bit because the question is not so clear, so I think it's difficult to answer the question. But I think is it similar question with from Abdi, Mas Abdi just now that it is the strategy how to teach philosophy subject in Islamic university in all level, by all level in bachelor level, magister level, or PhD level. But I think maybe if Indonesian Muslim will apply this idea, I think yeah. The first is maybe we try to understand, to explain the step to understand, the step to study a philosophy as a subject. For example, I think the first maybe the student who want to study philosophy also understand about the logic. The logic, yeah, I think it is the basis of the philosophy is logic, and then also based on the field of philosophy in many fields. And also I think as stated by Professor Ahmad Sunari Long that I think yeah, how to teach philosophy as a subject very interesting. Yeah, I think it is good idea, I think also. And also I think like in Yogyakarta, I think there is the institution teaching philosophy. There is a short course of philosophy. For example, in Yogyakarta, there is Rausan Fikr, yeah, Rausan Fikr Institution. Rausan Fikr Institute teach the philosophy, especially the philosophy of Islam, the philosophy of Islam. Yeah, we know that this institution founded by Shia, but I think we can say that it is a good example how to socialize that we need to understand, to study the philosophy as the subject. And also I think also we can say that the challenge of human life today, I think we cannot only solve based on one discipline. We need many disciplines. As I have stated before, it is a kind of transdisciplinary Islamic studies, or it is, we can use that it is the umbrella, it is philosophical base is philosophy. I think it is my answer to a question from Mas Januari Alfaizar. Yeah, I think it is my answer. Thank you.
All right. If Prof. Sunawari would like to add some more, yes, please.
I'm totally agree with Prof. Yusudani with his view or point. Yeah, the basic things I think is we should be more creative in teaching philosophy. That's the best thing. We should be more creative, and after that, it should be more attractive to the student and then to the layman or to the public. Because something like this. Why? Say that in Iran, okay, in Iran, philosophy subject is accepted as something that is attractive subject to the public, okay, in Iran, for example. And those from Iran, for example, Said Hussein Nas, Abdul Karim Soros, okay, and Asif Bayat, their views being, let's say like this, welcomed by the Western listeners, Western observers. Okay, they like to listen what Said Hussein Nas or Abdul Karim Soros or Asif Bayat talk about philosophy. Why? There must be a reason. Okay? So I think we should make a research. What is good and bad about teaching philosophy in our country, for example. or at least I would like to suggest something like this among the philosophers or lecturers in Southeast Asia region. We should establish, or we should organize one society of philosophy in Southeast Asian country. Because so far in Britain, in UK, in European countries, they have some sort of society for the philosophers. But I don't know in this region, Southeast Asian region, is there any philosophical society for the philosophers? Maybe Prof Yusdani can lead this society in this region.
Inshallah.
Huh?
Inshallah. Inshallah.
As a philosophy
In collaboration.
society in Southeast Asian, for example. So when there is a society, then we can let's say publish a journal for the society. That what has been done in the United States, in the European countries, in the UK. They have a strong society for the philosophy, and then they have a good journal for the philosophy. So maybe one day, IIU University Indonesia, International Islamic University of Indonesia would lead or would establish this kind of such a society for the philosophy. Maybe one day. I don't know. Maybe there is a philosophy society in Indonesia. Maybe you can share with us.
There is no, I think until now there is no the organization, or there is no the association of the philosophy in Indonesia. There is no until now.
Doctor, I would like.
Yes, I heard someone would like to ask. Yes, before you can ask, please state your name and your institution. And yes, please. Siti Nur Najia.
Yes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Najia Adenine from UKM, Usuluddin and Falsafah. I'm Usuluddin and Theology and Philosophy. I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you to Prof Yusdani and Prof Sunawari for an interesting lectures today. And I see we talk a lot about the challenges of the philosophy in Malaysia and Indonesia, right? Okay. Regarding about the issue mentioned about the challenges, I think we should ask to the student itself why the student got lack of interest in philosophy. And I think philosophy is an interesting subject to learn. I didn't expect it. I expect it should be good, but I think the problem is the approach of the study, because we do in theology and philosophy, we did learn in an old school way from professors and doctors about the subject of philosophy in here. I think doctors and professor can teach students in a way, an interesting way, a creative way, which is you can make a short video of current issue and related to philosophy, and post it on a social media medium such as Twitter, Instagram, or else. I think that's the effective way to learn or to attract people to love more, to like to learn more philosophy in Malaysia or Indonesia. Because I do join a circle of philosophy team. I think we do have many issues and many things to discuss, and I am sure there are a lot of students who love philosophy as well as me. but we didn't have the capacity to learn many things about it. Such as I love to learn about the society itself, but me myself not into like political. There's only a particular philosophy only, and I suggest to doctors and professors. I think the way to attract students to learn philosophy or make it creative is by doing a social media program, which is professor or student, professor of doctors can make assignment for student to make their own videos, such as for a topic liberalism and philosophy and what effect in Malaysia. And then a student can do a short video about 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and then post it on the social media, which is Instagram and Twitter is the trend now. I think we must follow the trend, and I think the challenges and how we tackle it, we should ask the student itself. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Sister Siti Nur Najia, for sharing your suggestion. I think this is a brilliant suggestion come out by our students in here, UKM, in the Research Center for Theology and Philosophy. And if Prof Sunawari or Prof Dr Yusudani, if you would like to give any comment or suggestion, yes, please, or answer the question. The student asked just now about the approach, the method of teaching the philosophy in UKM. I'm not pretty sure whether the student is first year student or third year student, but the student has taken the subject, the philosophy subject in our institution. So if Prof, Siti Noja, are you student, the first year student or final year student?
No, I'm a master student, and I'm degree in theology and philosophy.
Right. Okay, master student.
Yeah.
Yes. If yes, Prof Sunawari, if you would like to give any feedback, yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mohd Yunus, and to our student, master student or postgraduate student. That's true. I think as lecturer for the, I think senior lecturer like us, okay, senior lecturer like me, we are feeling of self-satisfaction or what we call, we think that it's a good teaching, but we never know the young children or young generation what they like actually. So in other words, we have to go down to the ground. Okay, so we should master the new social media, new approach of teaching philosophy, then maybe and learning a new way of teaching and sharing philosophy. So the better way is customer or client always right. So then we should ask them what they like to have, what they like to study. That's all the first and the foremost thing to do, rather than we think that is the best way, but not for the young generation, or like now we call Z or Alpha or Beta generation. They have their own criterion to study. Okay, I think it's not only for the philosophy, actually, for the other subject also have the same problem nowadays, because we are senior citizen, senior lecturer, we are short sendiri. Malaysia call it short sendiri. I don't know the sentence in Indonesia, but here we call short sendiri. We think this is the best, but actually not. Okay, so let's them speak. Then we try to adjust whatever we can. Okay, thank you for the good suggestion.
Right. Thank you, Prof. Sunawari, for your feedback just now. Yes, if any other questions, yes, please, from our fellow participants. Okay. I hope all of you enjoy the International Islamic Webinar Series 2020.
You have question.
Yes. Yeah, Sister Sutino Najia, do you have any other question? Yes.
Just now it's just a suggestion, but now it's a question right now.
Yes, yes, please.
I would like to ask Prof. Sunawari about education system in Malaysia. Do you agree KBAT, which Kemahiran Berfikir Aras Tinggi, is a training education system of critical thinking and how it affects the student themselves? And for Prof. Dr. Yusda, I would like to ask a question. How to preserve a philosophy, or not a philosophy per se, it's about critical thinking among the graduated student of philosophy. Because some of my friends, we are graduated from philosophy department. We just learn to use apply the philosophy, which is okay. We make a decision when making a decision only. Maybe you can suggest or how to preserve the applying in philosophy in our daily life. Thank you.
Okay. I give Prof. Sunawari first to give feedback on the first question from our student.
Okay, thank you. Before that, I would like to welcome Dr. Muassamah Wibisono from UIN Ibrahim Malang to this discussion. Selamat datang, Dr. Muassamah. Yeah, appeared in our screen from UI Malang. Yeah. Okay. I totally agree with Siti Nur Najia. That's critical higher thinking that taught in our school, especially in our primary school, is one way of introducing philosophy at the early stage for the student in the school. So I think it's a best way in introducing philosophy in our educational system in Malaysia. So I totally agree with you. Okay, it's my short and simple answer. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Now we go to the second question from our students. We would like to invite Prof. Yusdani, if you would like to give feedback on the question from our students. Yes, please, Prof.
Okay, thank you to Ibu Siti Nur Najia binti Adnan for your question. Yeah, I think maybe we can teach our student critical thinking, because we can say that critical thinking is a part of the philosophical thinking or critical thinking. Yeah, I think we can start our teaching in critical thinking from a bachelor and then magister and until a PhD program, I think we start from bachelor, because I think maybe it is a good example for us. I think in subject of the Department of Islamic Law, for example, the student the student didn't understand anything about the philosophy, but the student must study about the philosophy of Islamic law. I think it is how to teach Islamic philosophy of law, but the student do not understand anything about the philosophy. I think it is the problem. I think it is a problem. But I think also today I think the study of Islamic law, the study of the Islamic studies program, I think today we need many approach. For example, I think philosophical approach, it is one of the approach in Islamic studies, beside the historical approach, sociological approach, and also normative or theological approach. So I think maybe we can give an example, one issue of the one issue or one problem of Islamic studies. We try to understand this. We try to solve the problem based on several approach, and we try to invite the philosophical approach how to solve the problem based on the philosophical approach. I think it is maybe it is the example. Yeah, the example. And today, I think also the problem of Islamic studies in our higher education, because in terms of traditional Islamic studies, I think it is also the problem. I think it is we can say that traditional Islamic studies only normative. For example, I have mentioned in my presentation that it is dominated by normative, but I think we try to dialogue between a normative approach and a philosophical approach in one case, and also I really agree with the suggestion, and also about the suggestion from Professor Ahmad Sunawari long, that today I think the time we must listen to the need of the millennial society. Yeah, the millennial society, what they need to do to understand, to study the philosophy. I think I think it is, and also maybe we make some group of the philosophy group in consist of the student to try. And also I think how can we make some imagination that actually philosophy is very serious, but in one relaxed time, how to combine this. Yeah, seriously in material, but relax, or it is not seriously in teaching. I think how to combine this. I think it is my short answer to Ibu Siti Nur Najia binti Adnan. Thank you.
Right. Billion thanks to our prominent speakers, Prof. Ahmad Sunawari and Prof. Dr. Yusudani. We would like, we still welcome any comments or questions from our participants. If anyone would like to ask to our prominent speakers, you are most welcome. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Yunus. I would like to share just a little bit my humble ideas regarding the issues of philosophy. And first of all, I would like to thanks for the both speakers, Prof. Dr. Yusdani, Prof. Ayu, and Associate Professor Dr. Ahmad Sunawari, for enhancing our thoughts regarding the issues of philosophy. My concern is that perhaps I do agree with the speakers that we do need to show how the ideas of the philosophy nowadays are very close related with our contemporary issues. I think that is a great task should be tackled by other philosophers. And then, for example, nowadays we are facing the current thought, which is to some extent it seems that really contradicting with our culture, it's contradicting with our religion, Islam especially. So of course, I think there is a need for the philosophers and for among the Muslims, especially to counter or to give the alternative. So perhaps we can show how the methodology of philosophy can give an alternative in discussing the current issues nowadays. And secondly, I think perhaps also we can find or we can provide some sort of short course, short seminar, short subjects that is very simple, because the dilemma nowadays, why the students or the people who doesn't want to learn the philosophy, one is because they think philosophy is very hard. The concept they are discussing by the philosophy is very tough, and it creates some sort of dilemma. So perhaps we can see how we can elaborate, but to make it simple, to at least to show to the public, to show to the student that what we are learning about the philosophy, it is very practical one. It is not simply an ideal, but it's a practical. So I think that is how the people are looking for. So of course, this is not an easy way, but there is a room, there's a chance to show how the philosophy very practical one. I think that is not only for the philosophy subjects, but even to all the subjects as well. We have to show to the public that how our subject, how is our concept can be practiced and can become as a tool for them to solve the problem nowadays. Because nowadays we are facing lots of problems, and of course the public are waiting for an alternative or the mode of thought, as mentioning also by the suggestion by our sisters Narunaja, for example. At university, we teach the students how to think, how to look at the problem, and how to solve the problem. So in other words, we provide to the students some sort of mode of thought. So philosophy is partly concerned with the mode of thought, the methodology of thinking. So I think that is really enough. So that is my humble point of view perspective regarding the philosophy. So maybe I need a response from the both speakers. Thank you again for enhancing our thought regarding the philosophy. Thanks for both organizers. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Jafari Awang, for your point of views, sharing the problems that we are facing at the moment in our center. The student at the moment they have very critical in terms of teaching and learning the philosophy in our department. However, I do believe that our lecturers, our professors in here, they have very good in terms of teaching and learning. Therefore, they could deliver the messages, the knowledge with our students properly. So I would like to get a feedback and respond from our prominent speakers, your point of views in this regard. So I would like to invite Prof. Dr. Yusudani first. We would like to get your point of views in this regard, Prof. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you for Professor Japri Awang for your suggestion. I think it is very interesting suggestion, and I think it is our challenge. But based on your perspective, I think, and based on your suggestion, I think it is good, and I really agree with your suggestion about how to teach and how to socialize about the philosophy. Philosophy maybe one side of the philosophy, maybe kind of the methodology and analysis also, and also beside because I think also the material of the philosophy sometime I think it is very boring. For example, if we try to understand philosophy, always we say the ontology, epistemology, and axiology. But today, I think how to respond practical problem in our social life every day. I think we need to understand this from philosophical perspective. We need that to how to understand this and how to solve the problem in our daily life comprehensively. In critical thinking, I think it is a kind of socialization of implementation of the critical thinking and the philosophy. I think I really agree with the suggestion from Professor Jeffrey Awang. I think it is my short answer, my